The next panelist on my list is Dr. Rabia Akhtar. Dr. Akhtar is a director at the Center for Security, Strategy and Policy Research at the University of Lahore in Pakistan. She is a member of the Prime Minister's Advisory Council on Foreign Affairs. She is also a non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council South Asia Center. Dr. Akhtar holds a PhD in Security Studies from Kansas State University and is the author of the book, The Blind Eye, U.S. Non-Proliferation Policy Towards Pakistan, From Ford to Clinton. Dr. Akhtar is also the editor of Pakistan Political, Pakistan's first strategic and foreign affairs magazine. Today, she will be speaking on India's arms buildup and the threats posed to Pakistan and its impact on the Kashmir issue. Dr. Akhtar, you have the floor.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I thank Ambassador Munir Akram and the entire mission to the United Nations, especially Dr. Mariam Sheikh and the work Ms. Saima Salim are doing for organizing this all-important event and inviting me to share my thoughts. I must also commend the mission and you, Ambassador Akram, for consistently highlighting the plight of the Kashmiris, the illegal Indian occupation of Jammu and Kashmir, and the dangers a Hindutva-infused Indian leadership poses to the regional stability. As someone who looks at the dynamics of nuclear deterrence and crisis escalation closely, I feel it is extremely important to worry, and I repeat, worry, about the consistently brazen peacetime and crisis behavior of India. War frenzy, the articulation of revanchist goals vis-a-vis Pakistan, and the purchase of high-end defense articles do not augur well for the future of the Kashmir dispute, as well as that of the Indo-Pak relations. In August 5th, it's August 5th, 2019 actions, promulgation of draconian laws such as the Domicile Act, for example, and statements about capturing territories from Pakistan and doing away with its even otherwise questionable no first use policy should convince Pakistan that it is dealing with a rogue state under the Modi regime. This India, I must stress, is not happy with the status quo. It's also willing to take risks with a view to achieving its grandiose objectives. This aggression has a religious fervor attached to it. And all this, coupled with societal changes taking place in India, moving towards making it a Hindu state and entirely losing its secular character, will be the lens through which India will view its enemies. So what is the corollary here? Coming back from the brink, both in rhetoric and action, would be very, very difficult for Indian leaders going forward. Simply put, the strongman image and reputation will have to be not only maintained with audience costs generated, but they would also need to be enhanced. All this has implications for Pakistan and obviously the Kashmir dispute. In this regard, it is important to note that because India's reputation for toughness was, and will be dealt a severe blow by its inaction against China, as evidence in the Ladakh standoff, it will try to make amends by targeting Pakistan. I also foresee India trying its hand at nuclear compellence and coercion against Pakistan, with the subconventional domain now providing more options to achieve cross-domain coercion. India is using this information to hurt Pakistan as well as the legitimate struggle of the Kashmiris. What's more, Kashmiris will be the biggest target and casualty of India's direct and indirect attempts to coerce Pakistan. It is fair to argue that the addition of firepower in India's armory, coupled with the confidence it takes from its Western allies, will further incentivize it to carry out its Project Land Grab in occupied and annexed Kashmir. If the recent past is anything to go by, one could certainly argue that India's trigger-happy political military leadership is on the lookout for an opportunity to take on Pakistan regardless of any pretext. So with all this in mind, Pakistan has to take a series of steps at the diplomatic and military levels to counter India. Pakistan must first of all reevaluate and reconfigure its red lines so as to strengthen deterrence at a time when India is acquiring capabilities and rethinking its doctrine with a view to evading Pakistan's nuclear deterrence. As I've argued elsewhere, Pakistan must not give India the impression that India has both the first strike and first mover advantages. I believe India's preemptive counterforce temptations will only increase with time, and therefore it is on Pakistan to develop capabilities which will help convert the growing first strike instability into first strike stability. As for Kashmir, Pakistan must understand that India is not open to seriously and substantively negotiating. Thus, Islamabad must increase its public diplomacy campaigns, lobbying and advocacy efforts, and lawfare options. I would be remiss if I don't say that all this, coupled with the need to keep Kashmir on the global agenda, would not be possible unless Kashmiris are empowered and given a lead role in fighting their own case and are represented along Pakistan in all international forums. I would like to end by saying that Kashmir is a nuclear flashpoint, more so now than ever. Prime Minister Imran Khan is absolutely right in warning the world of the cost of appeasement, and history tells us what those costs were. Thank you once again for commemorating the Kashmir Day and apprising the world of the dangers a militarized, Hindutva-driven India poses not only to its immediate neighborhood, but to the world at large. I thank you.
Thank Dr. Akhtar for that very sobering statement, which resonates quite well with my own thinking.